Welcome on back, everybody, to the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. This is mid-season review time, and we're up to the St Kilda Saints today's episode. We've been rolling through all the every team for mid-season reviews as their teams come to the bye. We're up to number 17. There's only one more to come after this, which will be the Bulldogs. So the rest of them are all up on my YouTube channel, so go check them all out. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be running through today the season so far for the Saints. We'll have a quick player wrap-up, a look at what's still to come, and what we expect for the Saints for the remainder of 2024. Here is this week's video schedule. There's plenty coming out. Obviously, we're already up to Thursday, so we've already had around 14 review episodes go live on Spotify and YouTube. Then Tuesday we had Adelaide and Collingwood mid-season reviews. On Wednesday we had Hawthorn and Richmond mid-season reviews. And then today this is the St Kilda one. And then in a few hours time the Western Bulldogs will be going live as well. The mid-season reviews all exclusive to YouTube. And then tomorrow on Friday we'll have our round 15 preview episode go live 8 a.m. on Spotify and YouTube. So go check all of that content out. Plenty to see. Also, we've got plenty of social medias: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Go check all them out at All Aussie Rules on all of them. So go check out all of the content. We'll jump straight into the Saints season so far now. Leading off, they had the bye-in opening round, and then they had a round one against Geelong, which was down at the Cattery, and they gave it a good run, actually, to be honest. Some poor kicking didn't help them. They kicked 9 goals, 14 for the day, lost by 8 points. They were right in it. Their second half, especially, was really good. They got right back in the game. They weren't far behind. They were only 2 goals down at half-time, but they certainly gave themselves every opportunity in the end to be in the game, and just poor kicking cost them, really. Geelong probably were a slightly better team on the day, maybe, but still, they were right in it and had plenty of opportunities. Round 2, even up until this point, I think clearly is their best win of the season. Against Collingwood, they beat them by 15 points. They won the first quarter. They were trailing at half-time. Third quarter was really, really good. They kicked 35-7 in the third quarter. Collingwood fought back, looked like they were going to have a chance, but didn't quite get there. And third highest score so far this season for St Kilda. They got to 94 that day. It was a really good performance from them. There's no doubting that. Round 3, the same can't be said. They played Essendon at Marvel. First half, Essendon were atrocious, and they didn't really make use of it. They only kicked 9 goals, 13 for the day, did St Kilda. And then in the second half, Essendon were just too good for them. They ended up losing by 4 points in what was not the best performance from either team. Round 4, they got out of absolute jail in this one. They played Richmond over in Gather Round at Norwood Oval. Didn't kick a goal in the first quarter. I think it was late in the second quarter that they got their first goal. They were 22 points down at half-time. They turned it on in the third quarter, took the lead by three-quarter time, which was an amazing effort, and then ended up winning by 7 points. But certainly was not a great performance again. Round 5, they went to Manuka Oval, played GWS. Another weird sort of game. They only lost it by a point. GWS looked like they had their measure all day up until the last quarter. I think St Kilda kicked the last 6 goals of the game to get within a point and just fall short. So they'll probably be kicking themselves that they didn't turn it on a bit earlier. But at the end of the day, that was a solid performance, and probably almost their second best performance of the year, to be honest. Certainly their best loss of the year. So then round 6, they went to Marvel Stadium, played the Bulldogs, and got absolutely pumped from start to finish. Conceded 7 goals in the first quarter and didn't get much better after that. 5 goals in the second quarter. They ended up losing it by 60. Not much more to say about it. Was a poor result for them, especially after the week before against the Giants. Round 7, they went over to Adelaide Oval to play Port Adelaide, and they gave this a good battle, actually. Port Adelaide's poor kicking. St Kilda kicked straight, kicked 11-6 in this one. Kept them in it, but at the end of the day, Port Adelaide were the better team and got over the line. Round 8, they played North Melbourne. This was the first time they cracked the 100-point mark for the year. They won it by 38 points. Pretty solid performance, as most teams have been doing. They beat North Melbourne, which they were expected to do, so nothing too outstanding there. Round 9, they played Hawthorn down in Launceston. This is, I'm not going to say their worst loss of the year, but close to it if it wasn't. It was a pretty unexciting game. First quarter was reasonably high scoring, but after that it just turned into a dour slogfest, and Hawthorn were the better team. St Kilda kicked 7 goals 11 for the day, so once again, poor kicking. Kind of been a theme of quite a few of their losses this year, and even some of their wins, but yeah, it was just not a great performance here. Round 10, they played Fremantle at Marvel Stadium. This is a game they should be winning. I know Fremantle are potentially a solid team that could potentially be pushing towards maybe top 4, but at the end of the day, Fremantle in Melbourne, St Kilda played finals last year. They have to be winning this game. They lost it by 17 points. Never really looked like winning, I don't think, in this one. Certainly not for much of the game. They were only 3 points down at halftime. They were actually level at three-quarter time, but I think they got outplayed pretty much throughout the game. Round 11, they played the Demons. Another loss, another bad loss, 38 points at the MCG. Lost it in the first quarter, really. 4 goals down at quarter time. Fought their way back a little bit here and there, but overall got pumped. Round 12, West Coast Eagles over at Optus Stadium. This was a must-win for them, and they got the win. Credit to them. They weren't great in the first half. They were down by 14 points, but they certainly turned it around in the second half, and mainly the last quarter they overran West Coast quite well in the final quarter, kicking 5 goals to 2. Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium, another must-win for them. Gold Coast haven't won on the road yet this year, so this was definitely a must-win for them, and they got the job done only just. Many punters believe this was the worst game of football this year, potentially ever. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but it certainly wasn't the most exciting game. A lot of uncontested footy, a lot of slow-moving footy. Final score was 51-54. And they kind of got lucky. AFL came out and said it was a bad decision, which was the winning goal for St Kilda. Granted, they would have still had a chance to score a goal, but still, as it turns out, not a super impressive result there. Then round 14, they went up to the Gabba to play Brisbane, and somehow this was a high-scoring game. Brisbane do play a high-scoring game brand of football, so I guess it's not that surprising, but St Kilda typically play very low-scoring. They lost by 20 points, but it was their highest score of the year for the Saints, and pretty good fight back, really. They were 5 goals down at quarter time when they conceded 7 in the first quarter. They fought their way back into it. To only lose by 20 was a pretty good result for them in the end, in a game that at the start of the season they certainly wouldn't have been expecting to win this one. It would have been one that they would have hoped they could win, but certainly not one they were going in expecting to win. We'll now have a quick look at all the stats for St Kilda, where they're good, where they're bad, and what's not. First of all, quarter-by-quarter analysis. The first 3 quarters, they're very average, to be honest, across the year. First quarter, they're 5 and 9 head-to-head. Second quarter, 6, 7 and a draw. Third quarter, 6 and 8. All negative points differential in all 3 of those quarters. Where they come alive, though, is the last quarter. Where I don't know what reasoning that is, but they'd certainly played the last quarter a lot better. Head-to-head records 9 and 5 and plus 4.1 points per game, or per quarter, sorry. So certainly turn it on in the second half and mainly the last quarter. which can be great going forward for them. They just need to perhaps be better positioned in the matches before three-quarter time instead of leaving it until the game's over. Disposal head-to-head, they typically lose it. Overall, they're minus 6.4 possessions per game, or disposals per game, sorry. 5 and 9 head-to-head record. Interestingly, though, when they win the when they win the disposal count, they actually win the match quite regularly. So their disposal count, where are we? When they win the match, 4 and 1 in winning the head-to-head disposal count plus 31 possessions per game. When they lose the match, they're minus 27.3 disposals per game and 1 and 8. So key factor there for St Kilda is when they're getting the ball, plenty of the ball, they win the games. Whether that's indicative of something, I don't know, but it certainly reads that way, more so than any other team in that category. Inside 50s, they're 7 and 5 head to head, just narrowly down in the overall inside 50 count. Once again, though, in wins, they're really good. All 5 of their every time they've won, they have won the inside 50 differential with a plus 11.6 average per game. When they lose the game, they've only won 2 of the 7 inside 50 differential count, and they're minus 7. So that's an 18.6 inside 50 differential between their wins and loss ratio, which is quite astounding. I mean, obviously most teams are going to average more when they win than when they lose, but just the fact that when they win, that they don't win unless they win the inside 50 count. So getting the ball forward for them is very, very important. Disposal efficiency, they're the number 14 ranked team, 71.7%, so not high. Overall, their opponents are above that at 73.1%. So suggests that their disposal needs a little bit of work. It's not terrible, but could certainly use some improvement. Their forward efficiency is quite low as well. They're ranked 15 in the league, 44.4%. It's pretty much consistent across the year, no higher, no lower in wins and losses. But as I said, they get more opportunities in their wins. So it's not so much their forward line doing better for their wins, it's their midfield and probably mainly their midfield, maybe slightly their back line, just getting the ball forward a lot more often, and the forward line competing at the same level that they do all year round. Defensive efficiency is not terribly great either, 47.5. It's not terrible. It's slightly below average and not something that's too concerning, but obviously their defence does need to probably improve for them in order to take the next step, because even though their games are low scoring, the defensive efficiency isn't spectacular. Hit outs, they usually lose the hit out count. They're head to head 2 and 12, minus 10 per game. Clearances, they're really good at, plus 1.9 clearances per game. Head to head record of 9 and 5. Most of that is in stoppage clearances. They're a lot better at stoppage clearances than centre clearances. 10 and 4 head to head record in stoppage clearances is really, really good. Contested football, they're very good at, to be honest. They're plus 1.6 per game. Overall record, head to head record of 9 wins, 4 losses and a draw. So pretty good there. Interestingly, they do well at it in losses as well as wins. So I don't think it's too concerning either way in the games. Uncontested footy, they're minus 6.9, 5 and 9 head-to-head record. When they win, 4 out of the 5 wins they've had this year they have won the uncontested count, whereas only once when they've lost the match have they had more uncontested footy than their opposition. Turnover count, they're pretty average at, to be honest. They're minus 3.3 on the year, 4 and 10 head-to-head record. Much better, though, turnover rate when they win the match. which goes with getting the ball inside 50. If you're turning it over less, then you're obviously doing better at getting the ball through the field. So yeah, plus 3.8 per game in wins, minus 7.2 in losses. No surprise, but it does just weigh into that the rest of their game plan, their game style, I guess, where they get do really well on inside 50s in their wins. Marks, they lose that not regularly. They're 7-7, but they are minus 7.2. So when they lose the marking count, they tend to lose it big. And the tackle count is probably another area where they need to improve, because there's clear signs that at least they do better when they're winning. So the tackle count, they're 5-9 head to head with a minus 3.4 tackles per game, whereas when they win, they're plus 1.8 tackles per game, and when they lose, they're minus 6.2. Small sample sizes, yes, but still another factor that comes into a massive difference between their win and loss ratio. We'll have a quick look at some of the players for St Kilda, how they're going this year, who's been their stars. Rowan Marshall's definitely in contention for ruckman of the All-Australian team. There's a few players in that that category that are certainly looking potentially there. Rowan Marshall's one of them. I think he's been beaten by some of those in their head-to-head matchups. I think Grundy took him. No, they haven't played Sydney, so it must have been Gawn beat him. In round 11. Who else is there that's really good for them? Jack Steele's outstanding as a midfielder, tackling mid. He's certainly one of the elite tackling mids, and still averages 24 touches a game. Wangani Malira has been really good running off half-back this year. 26 disposals a game. He's very good with the ball typically. I think as he develops, it will only set St Kilda in a good position. Jack Sinclair averages 26.5 touches a game. He's been solid. Mason Wood's been good. Bradley Hill on the wing. He's had a couple down games, but he's also had a couple absolutely outstanding games. So he's been very important for them as well. Overall, I don't think there's been anyone that's been too bad for them overall, but who knows, really. Jack Higgins is their leading goal kicker in goals per game. He's averaging 2.1 per game. He's had a couple good bags. I think, did he kick 5 against Brisbane? I think he kicked 4 or 5 against Collingwood. So he's been doing his job as a small forward. Max King's averaging 1.7 goals a game, and Membry 1.4. Positive signs, I guess they've still got a little bit of they're a little bit off overall though, I think, from the top teams. We'll now have a run through what they've got to come this year. Round 16, they go up against Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. Round 17, they have their first matchup with Sydney for the year. This will again be at Marvel Stadium. They then have their only trip away from Marvel for the rest of the year against Adelaide in round 18 at Adelaide Oval. Round 19, West Coast at Marvel. Round 20 is Essendon at Marvel. Round 21, they play Brisbane at Marvel. Round 22 is Richmond. Round 23 is Geelong. And then they finish the season with Carlton. So a really hit and miss kind of finish to this season. They play Sydney, Carlton, Geelong, Essendon, and Port Adelaide, all in the top 8 at the moment. But they also play the 3 of the 4 bottom teams, and Brisbane as well. Brisbane are no easy beats, let's be honest. Overall, how many wins do they get there? The fact that they don't leave Marvel Stadium's obviously a help. The issue is, I don't think they can make finals from where they are. They're 14th on the ladder. They only have 5 wins, so they'd need to win probably 8 of 9 to have any chance. Potentially 9 of 9 with their bad percentage. The percentage is only 92.2. So I think that's too much of a stretch for them to make finals, to be honest. Because they're not going to win all 9 of them. Sydney at Marvel's not going to be easy. Sydney have already knocked off better teams than St Kilda at Marvel this year, so I'd be surprised to see them win that. The Port Adelaide one is a feasible win. Adelaide at Adelaide Oval is a potential win. They'll need to bring their best. West Coast at Marvel certainly a win. Essendon at Marvel is tough. I can't see them winning. Essendon have improved since their first meeting this year, whereas St Kilda certainly haven't. Brisbane at Marvel's a chance. I'd still say at best 50-50. Richmond's a good chance, and then Geelong Carlton the final 2 weeks are probably losses. That leaves them at maybe 8 wins for the year, really, realistically, which I would put down personally as a failed year for them, seeing that they played finals last year. They should have been hoping for more than 8 wins, I would imagine. Maybe they still do get more than 8, but I can't see them being too competitive throughout the rest of the year. That's my opinions on St Kilda. So that is everything we needed to talk about for St Kilda 2024 mid-season review. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how many wins you think St Kilda will finish up on in the comments below. I'm putting them in for 8. Can they get more than that? Will they end up with less? Let me know. As always, thanks for tuning in. Check out all my socials. Go check out the rest of the videos on YouTube. There's plenty of content there for you. Thanks again, and I'll catch us on the next one.